Hello, beautiful, amazing, fantastic world, and you, beautiful, wonderful individual. Today, I would like to speak a little about the third hierarchy and their spheres of influence in everyday human life. Now, this is also one of my favorite topics because these beings are closer to us than the second and the first hierarchy. The second and the first hierarchy are more esoteric and more spiritual and sublime than the archangels, angels, and archai are. So, if we are to go to water for a moment, in watery bodies is the physical form of the angels. When I speak to you, me as an individual, a personality, an ego, to you, an individual personality, an ego, and we do this beautiful dance of harmony where we try to, meet each other in the middle and to infuse it with certain spiritual feelings of reverence and respect. That is the realm of the angels between each individual. So, when we are deepening our perspectives, when we are speaking and talking and discussing about certain topics of reality, focusing our attention on certain areas of life in general, being active, being creative, being imaginative, and at the same time, having a certain foundation and anchoring in it. That is the angels. The angels are one step above mankind, and they have already gone through their development as human beings in earlier times, in earlier eons. So they have a certain feeling and personal interest in what we do because, of course, you do have both backwards angels and progressive loving angels. Remember this, just as there are human beings that might be, and this is objectively speaking, of course, it is not something that we judge as good or evil, but there are human beings that might be lagging a little behind because they haven't been given the right tools or opportunities to truly grow through karma and so on. Does not mean that they don't get the opportunity later. It is all about having that faith for mankind, right? It's the same with the angels and archangels and archai. The backwards archai are the asuras. The backwards archangels are, the adversaries of a good, healthy, progressive stream of evolution in a country. And then we go, so the habitat of the angels is actually on the moon. The ancient masters of old, those that detached themselves from this earth, that made it through a certain stage of enlightenment, allow them to build a different sphere separate from the earth. That is the moon and the planet of the angels, more or less, the home of the angels. Then we go to the archangels. The archangels are a little different. They operate if I would be a representative of my country, or me and a group of 100 or so represent a country, and so does 100 others. That group soul that is in dedication to the country, to the folk soul, to the physical form, to inheritance of our physical body, which more or less it only is. When it comes to inheritance, you don't inherit behaviors lest you choose to inherit them. You can fully and actively counteract different, bad habits and so on. But I digress. The archangels are folk souls. That means a country has an archangel. Every country has an archangel, which is why every country feels unique, just like every individual human being feels unique unless they identify as a big group and do not stick out as an individual. You see, they hide their own being behind the scenes in a sense. So the archangels are the folk soul. They also live in the air. Their physical manifestation is airy, which means they're even more sublime than the angels are, which are fluidic and watery in their physical nature. Don't get me wrong here. Their full being is outside of their physical nature. They stream down their physical nature in a sense. It's hard to explain it, but that is how physical results stems from spiritual facts. And the archangels are are air. And these are in the folk soul. As I said, every individual country has a folk soul. So if we are following along on the evolutionary path of our country and our country alone without going outside of our influence and sphere of study and so on, we will more likely than not actually reincarnate in the same place again. And it is no guarantee that that place you are reborn in is the highest developed next time you incarnate, you see. That is why it's important to grow, to change, to form, to shape your inner being. That means the folk souls definitely has a huge impact and a huge effect on us as human beings. But that should not be the main reason why we do this, why we follow race and such alone. We are human beings, we are one race, with many different colors to our skin. What comes out of your soul and your spirit is what's important. So it doesn't matter if you are a president or a king, a queen, a highly paid actor or musician, doesn't matter to me. You are a human being and worth the same as everyone else. And it is all about what you give out. I will treat you individually. I treat every human being I meet differently based on what comes out of them. It is all about flexibility. If you treat everyone the same, that is a disrespect, because we are not the same. We are worth the same, we are all equal in God's eyes, but we are not the same. That is important. We are individuals, unique, have a uniquely flavored and colored tone. And to us, we are very much an ego. And this ego has built our body around it so that we can express ourselves uniquely in a specific place in the world, at a specific time, at a specific present age. And that is for us to find out what we are to cultivate, what we are to follow along with, what we are to truly experience with. So the folk souls and the air and the sun is the archangel's home. Now we come one step higher again, the archai, the ashuras and suras. These are the spirits of age, spirits of personality. So let's go far back in time to the first post-Atlantean epoch, the Indian Age. The Indian Age is one archai. Then we have a Persian Age, an Egypto-Chaldean Babylonian Age, and a Greco-Roman Age. And then we are now in a new age, a fifth age, the fifth post-Atlantean epoch. So that is the archai. That is guiding the whole of the earth, every human being as a whole. They are very sublime beings here, as you can see. The archai is a little more personal again with the folk souls. The archangels are a little more personal with the folk souls. The angels are very personal with individual human beings, but the archai are objectively the whole, you see. And I try to operate with all three of them in mind because they are all important and there are layers to this reality. Many layers, and it is all about maneuvering correctly in all of this because it is kind of a huge labyrinth. Of course, we have the second and first hierarchy too, but they are so sublime, they are so high up in reality that it is hard to even explain them. as I tried to do yesterday, as I tried to do the last video I put out. It is not easy, because they are so universal, cosmic, and yeah, we are earthly, so we have limited perspectives and comprehension of these things. That is why we practice and train, so that our body can handle more and more information. It can become deeper and deeper and wider in the scope of comprehension. And I think I will leave you with this. You got that the angels in the water, between individuals, archangels in the air, between countries, folk souls, the archai, the spirit of age. That means when you are born here, in this age, you are forming a personality, an individuality, an ego, with different interests, longings, passions, and so on. You are working with the archai, either the good ones or the backwards ones. The backwards ones are the scariest to me, because the archai is where Surat is, the sun demon, the true adversary of Christ. And imagine the completely opposite of the Christ. He is the leader of the abyss in the future. He is the leader of what would be the dross of the rest of the earth. That means anything that refuse to evolve and refuse to change and refuse to move will fall away into a certain little satellite, a little moon in a sense, in its own little thing around the planet that is evolving correctly. You see what I... It is kind of like with the moon here today. But the moon today is very different. It is not the eighth sphere as it would be in later times. It is more, they are very influential. Don't get me wrong, moon beings are not always good. They can be very rowdy and very shouting and have extremely loud voices. But they are small beings, so they are kind of adorable also. But I digress. I just I grabbed the moon for a moment. Anyway, as I said, I will leave you with this, and I love speaking about the angels, archangels, and the archai. They are much higher than us and have gone through what we are going through now in a different way. So they are a little different than us, but they understand our development, which is why we can ask them for help in the moment of presence. To feel them, to think about them, to perceive them in our inner being. You can't see them with our outer senses. You can see the results, as I said. If you see the wind rustling in the trees, that is the archai moving. That is the archai, and the archangels, I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, the archai is also in the fire. Archai, fire, archangel, air, angel, water, human being, earth. You see, all of this has layers and harmonies to it. And the more we study it, the more we can see the whole picture and how everything hangs together. And that is why I can't stop doing this, and why I have to inspire and give to you guys what I found out, seriously. Because I wish for you guys to find out these things yourself. Study, having an open, curious, and awe-inspired heart, where you have a reverence and a certain curiosity. You wonder about things. You wake up in the morning and think, what do I want to grow, and what do I want to develop today? What can I take my time, sacrifice to strengthen certain faculties I need? Because it is a sacrifice of time, of your effort and energy. And that is the choice. You can choose to take it later, or we need to do something now. We should do something now. Doesn't need to be anything great, just I am present. I feel my whole being. I sense my whole nervous system through my being, and I feel the blood pumping and the warmth going through, and so on, and the air in the lungs. How much we can become aware of everything around us. And it is all about how much spirituality and life we can give it, because you know there is not a single thing in this cosmos that is standing still, ever. So why should we? That is what I always ask. It is all about development and wishing to do so. And it is worthwhile. The Lord's work is never in vain. Never. Remember that. So if you ever take your freedom and choose to follow along on the path you yourself have, well, either been given or come into by your own choices and powers, you are on the right path. So I will leave you with this. Thank you so much. May Father, Holy Spirit, Christ, and the ancient masters of old, ancestors, and the whole hierarchy guide you, bless you, protect you, love you, and may you find your individual beautiful path to development and being a human being. Love you all. Thank you. Goodbye.